Another day, another scandal surrounding Starmer. And this one's particularly damaging. Critics suggest this could mark the end of his leadership. The deeper we look into the China spy affair, the more serious it appears. He misled the public, compromised security, and now poses a potential national threat. It's a massive scandal, perhaps even more significant than it seems at first glance. Today, we'll examine what critics are saying and why this is being treated with such gravity. In simple terms, Chinese agents were sent to the UK, arrested, and the trial was eventually derailed. Labour is accused of shielding them, then denying it all. Now, former MI6 officials and senior civil servants are openly calling Starmer dishonest. We'll go through the key developments and public reactions. Also, in today's stream, we'll touch on a development involving Humza Yousaf, following his launch of the Muslim Impact Forum. Humza Yousaf has openly stated his aim is to increase Muslim representation in UK leadership roles. We'll cover that in the second half of today's stream. We'll also touch on the Manchester terror case. Someone previously released on bail for terror-related offenses has now been rearrested. Plenty to unpack this morning. As always, do like and subscribe for updates. Let's now head over to X to review the latest on the Labour scandal that many say could topple the government. According to the Daily Telegraph, Jonathan Powell, head of national security, reportedly blocked a major Whitehall investigation into Chinese espionage following pressure from the Treasury. Back in June, Powell opted against releasing findings from the Foreign Office's internal audit on China after Treasury warnings that disclosure could harm trade and investment. What was meant to be a comprehensive report promised in Labour's manifesto was reduced to just 2 vague paragraphs in Powell's national security strategy. This is a major development in a growing scandal. Christopher Cash and Christopher Berry were both arrested under the Official Secrets Act in March 2023 and later charged with espionage in April, before Sir Keir Starmer can become Prime Minister. Labour consistently denied the charges, but on 15th September, they were mysteriously dropped. It seems Labour didn't want to label China as a national security threat. Conveniently, Starmer, who was in India at the time, shifted the blame onto the Tories, claiming prosecutions should focus on the policies in place when the offences occurred. Classic gaslighting. The truth, however, is that the government and intelligence agencies have long described China as a national security risk. In 2023, the Tories labeled China as a threat to our people, prosperity and security. But don't just take my word for it. Former MI6 chief Sir Richard Dearlove, as well as ex-cabinet secretary Lord Sedwill, and former civil service head Simon Case, have all publicly dismissed Starmer's excuses. New revelations are emerging daily. Starmer's national security advisor, Jonathan Powell, has had multiple meetings with Chinese officials, even founding an organization, Intermediate, which was revealed by Guido Fawkes earlier. Chancellor Rachel Reeves visited China while the UK's economy was in crisis, and Energy Secretary Ed Miliband signed a secret Green Deal with China. We're still not privy to its contents. And regarding the Chaos Island surrender, we were told it was about international law, but the man who helped shape that law was Zhu Hangquin, a former Chinese Communist Party official. So who truly benefits from all this chaos? China uses Mauritius as a proxy state. And now let's recall the big names who say Starmer's not being truthful about the China spy case, the ex-head of MI6, the director of public prosecutions, the former heads of civil service and national security. Do you trust them or do you believe Starmer, who's repeatedly been accused of dishonesty? Not long after becoming an MP, I visited Oldham for a by-election. I was introduced to a woman with strong views on immigration. We had a cup of tea and a rich tea biscuit, but she later accused me of calling her a racist and kicked me out. She vowed never to vote Labour again and shared her story on GB News. There are 2 likely explanations for what's going on here. 1, the government's prioritizing keeping China happy over our national security. Or 2, they might be compromised by the Chinese communists. This raises serious questions about whether our government is working in our best interest. It's a massive issue, and social media is abuzz with it. We'll get more video reactions and see what people are saying. Next week, during PMQs, the pressure's on Starmer. MPs are ready to call him out on his lies about the China spy case. We're tired of watching him squirm his way out of accountability. It's time to bring him down. Starmer's embroiled in scandal after scandal. But now leaders from MI6 have publicly exposed him as a liar. This issue isn't going away. As Chris Phelps said, Starmer claimed the last government didn't categorize China as a threat, a direct lie. It's clear from the DPP's latest letter that Starmer's government withheld vital evidence from the CPS, the collapse of the espionage. Trial has allowed those accused of spying for China to avoid prosecution. The Starmer government appears to have prioritized appeasing China for economic gain over national security. Starmer must urgently explain if he authorized withholding evidence from the CPS. Trump, love him or loathe him, gets things done, and we're witnessing this play out now. I've got another video on this, followed by a discussion on Hamza Yusuf. Many believe this scandal could end Starmer's premiership, though he's managed to wriggle out of trouble before. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. It's been a scandal-ridden week for the PM, but could this be the one to end his premiership? Two former top civil servants have now publicly questioned the decision after a major Chinese espionage case collapsed. Starmer's accused of prioritizing diplomatic relations with China over national security. Despite blaming the previous government for failing to label China as a threat, former cabinet secretaries Simon Case and Lord Sedwill both stated they had long warned of China's risks. Can the PM be trusted with national security? I'm joined by China commentator and author Austin Williams. Mr. Williams, this is very serious, isn't it? The apparent failure of the government to assist the CPS. Mr. Williams responds, there's some overhyping here. Yes, Starmer has a lot to answer for, but the real issue seems lost. It's about two individuals allegedly passing information to a foreign state. The debate shifted to whether China was an enemy state under the Official Secrets Act, something it wasn't designated as. We've ended up in a legal technicality which Starmer is skilled at manipulating. But it also feels like there's a backroom element to this. Senior civil servants seem central to this issue, sidelining the Tories who were actually in power when the alleged espionage occurred. Starmer is now under fire for failing to prosecute, while little information is being shared, leaving the public in the dark. Crucially, two former cabinet secretaries and a national security advisor have confirmed that China was already classified as a threat under the conservatives. A court ruling in a Bulgarian case lowered the bar for what defines an enemy, making the claim that China didn't meet the legal threshold in 2023 seem quite flimsy. It feels like legal gamesmanship, some clever lawyer digging out an obscure clause. Ironically, the 1911 Official Secrets Act was replaced in December 2023 by the National Security Act, and the offenses happened just before that shift. Something's clearly going on behind closed doors. Britain, of course, trades with questionable regimes all the time, from Qatar to recognizing Palestine and even Hamas, so working with non-friendly states isn't new. But could this scandal really sink Starmer? Public criticism is mounting, and now senior figures are directly calling him a liar. This is a serious national security matter, and many feel Labour is actively covering things up. Now, moving on. Something else surfaced this morning regarding Hamza Yusuf. He's launched a new initiative, the Muslim Impact Forum, aimed at getting more Muslims into influential roles across the UK. The aim is to connect wealthy donors with young Muslims to help them enter politics. Critics say this is sectarian and dangerous. Imagine announcing in Pakistan that the goal is to get more white Christians into power. It would cause outrage. Let's listen to what Yusuf had to say at the launch. We've reached a tipping point. It's time to organize, support Muslim communities, and use our resources to better influence the countries we live in. His supporters call him a rare political talent and argue we need more leaders like him across all levels of government.